besties.
Hey.
Welcome back for another episode of the Hello Bestie podcast. I'm Maggie.
I'm Tashima.
All right, guys. Today we are talking about The Perfect Divorce, which is a sequel to The Perfect Marriage by Jeneva Rose. We did an episode on that previously, so we will link it down below. But just real quick, we're picking up a decade after Adam's execution, where Sarah Morgan has set him up for the death of his mistress.
Right.
His pregnant mistress.
Yep.
So,
which her and Bob were the ones responsible for her death.
Yes.
And
Bob,
set him up for.
who she's now married to.
Correct. And has a child with.
Yes. Whose name is Summer.
Yeah.
To commemorate, in a sick way, Kelly Summers.
Yeah.
They're living in the lake house. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it opens up with them speaking with their lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
So
they're basically going their separate ways.
Sarah has found out that he's had an affair, a one-night stand, and she immediately filed divorce papers.
Yeah.
She's trying to get full custody of their daughter, Summer. Bob doesn't want it. He wants to try to reconcile, work out his marriage. Sarah ain't having it.
Right.
So that's pretty much how it opens up now.
And he's also like, I don't really know how this happened. I don't even remember going to the room with this person. Like, I don't, like, how did you even find out about it? Like, I don't, like, he has really no recollection of even having an affair. Like, he knows that he did, but he doesn't really know, like, what?
Right, yeah.
So he's feeling like something fishy is going on and that this is kind of, like, her doing.
Yep. So he's got that whole, like,
mm-hmm.
plausible deniability thing going on, basically, if that's what you want to call it. So then, very quickly, it jumps to... So first of all, this is written in multiple POVs, right? So there's Sarah's perspective, there's Bob's perspective, and before we hear from Bob, we hear from this unknown narrator who's apparently locked in a basement, it seems.
Right.
Like chained to a pole.
Yeah. They
feel around and they can feel a bed, a bucket. So it just seems like a real
and
bad
can't see
situation.
anything. Everything is dark.
Right.
And they just hear, I think they're like calling out or something, and maybe they hear sounds, but they're like calling out, but that's all you really know.
Yeah. And they just ball up into a ball and just cry.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just keeps on moving along. So it's a real...
Yeah.
Wait, what? Okay.
And very quickly, when you're hearing that Bob had an affair, and now you have this mystery person locked in the basement, like, immediately, it's hard not to think, oh, okay, this is probably the person that he's having an affair with.
Yeah.
At least that was my thought.
It was giving Kirsten Moglen a little bit.
Very much so. Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
I was very much like, hold on.
Mm-hmm. How did we get here?
We're jumping right on in here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think this book did a really good job of giving you the current storyline, but then feeding you past stuff too.
Right.
It did a really good job of that. So then, basically after that, we find out that Sarah has left her old law firm,
right,
where she was working when she represented Adam. Now, as you mentioned before, they did not get along. They were butting heads until they paired up to kind of decide to take Adam down and frame him. They both got something they wanted out of that deal. And they're married now. Sarah went off and started her own foundation called the Morgan Foundation, where she's doing pro bono work, basically hiring ex-cons and people like that to get back out into society.
Like a reform program.
Yes. Sets them up with apartments, temporary jobs, gives them money, and just, here you go.
Fresh, clean start, because they know how hard it can be for, I don't think they call them like convicts. They're like, I think they were trying to work on a name, but they're like formers or some kind of name that they came up with, that like not to call them that. So there's like trying to break away from the stigma of, these people who are trying to start over.
Yeah, they were trying to keep the word felon out of it.
Right.
Yeah. So she's onboarding a felon who her husband, Bob, recommended, which if I'm not mistaken, he really too much didn't get involved in that. So it was a little...
He was on the board.
He was on the board, but it was like, it seemed like he was really pressing you, pick this guy, because he was number 50 or somewhere in that ballpark. She's done this with about 50 people by this time. And meanwhile, Bob got promoted and he is now partner. So it took her leaving for him to become partner.
Right. At the firm where they both were.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Which
she's
is
very clear to
funny.
throw that in there. Right. Appreciated that.
Yeah.
So
She's like, if it wasn't for me, you still be scraping the bottom of my scraps.
Right. So she's onboarding this guy and she gets a phone call from a potential client who's down at the police station. She gets down to the police station and the person who called her was the sheriff at the time when her ex-husband's case was going on.
Right.
He's now basically an alcoholic, total fall from grace. He's drunk, finds out from Sheriff Hudson, who is now sheriff, worked on the case back then too. He was a deputy then, because she addressed him, "Oh, hi, Deputy Hudson," and he's like, sheriff now. Okay.
I think the old sheriff was Sheriff Stevens.
Sheriff Stevens, yes. Yeah. Ryan Stevens, that's who this guy is now, who's drunk in front of her.
Right.
Sheriff Hudson had told him that he killed a woman, a female jogger, ran into him. He had no recollection of it, and he breaks down. We find out that Sheriff, like, he's had stuff happen before, and as a friend, it up. They've covered it up. How did you feel about that?
I mean, I feel like that kind of plays into the like fraternity stereotype where they look out for each other, and then now it's gotten to the point where that person's blood is on their hands because they've allowed him so many passes.
Right.
And I guess I appreciated that perspective of it, where it's like, you know, she's kind of like, well, this is your mess to clean up. This has nothing to do with me. You know, like, why have you allowed him so many passes? And he's like, well, you know, I mean, I didn't like it.
I didn't like it either. I do think it was a very human thing to do, though, because that's your homeboy. You don't want him to get arrested. You don't want him to get in trouble. He hadn't done anything like this before, but if left untouched or unchecked, this is what happens when you don't hold someone accountable.
Right, right.
I get why he didn't hold him accountable, though. It was a little slippery slope. I was just curious what you thought about that.
And it's like this man taught you everything that you knew, so there's like a sense of, you know, like loyalty to this person who you once looked up to.
Right. And I don't think they went into detail about the stuff. I took it as maybe just drunken bar fights or him just going out, just making noise, and instead of really putting him in jail or filing charges, you just told him to sleep it off, relax, and let him go.
Right.
Now he's murdered someone. So to be drunk and be told that you just killed someone, he didn't handle it well, obviously.
He's falling apart.
Sarah basically tells him, this is not good for you, but here's a little game plan. Here's what we're going to try to do. But your chances are worse than Adam's were, honestly, because blaming the victim, they said that they were going to try to see if the woman was under the influence of anything. Was she on the wrong side of the road? Like, basically, if there's any way that they can sway this to where her actions contributed to it, that's not going to look good to a jury if we do that. But it's kind of also our only play here. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have to take the L.
Basically. So, she leaves. She goes on about her way. She goes home. She starts to make dinner. And Bob comes home with flowers because he's still trying to reconcile. He's just like, come on now. We still on that.
Right. But they're separated at this point.
He's not living there.
Correct.
But he just popped up unannounced, basically, with flowers, trying to help her cook and pretend like nothing's happened. They haven't told their daughter any of this. They want to keep life as normal for her as possible.
Well, Sarah more so is like very adamant that they keep her in the dark about this whole situation.
Right. But she can clearly sense tension between them. Things are different. He has a place in DC, I believe, that he goes and spends the night at. Bob does. So she's making dinner. He's trying to, you know, push up on her. She's cutting onions at the time. Accidentally cuts his palm, I think it was.
Accidentally.
Right.
Allegedly.
He starts bleeding and she's just like, here, clean yourself up.
Yeah.
No remorse.
Getting blood everywhere.
Yeah. I told you to get up out of here. Well, anyway. And their daughter comes in and she's like, oh my God, that's gnarly. And she kind of breaks the tension a little bit. She says that she wants to go outside and swim. Bob takes her outside. They go swim for a little while. Sarah finishes up cooking and there's a storm brewing. So they come back inside. When they come back inside, the news is on and they see that they have done, like, the news has broken about Ryan Stevens, the former sheriff, and what happened with him. and that during part of their investigation into this, they put his DNA into a database to try to test for other hit and runs that he could have possibly done. And they find a match for the Kelly Summers case,
Right.
which is the case that her husband was executed for.
Right.
So this leaves things to
the case having to be reopened.
Yes. So the thing is, Sheriff Hudson, okay, so before we get into that, so her and Bob see this, they freak out.
Right.
Understandably so, because they don't want
the case to be reopened.
Who wants that?
So the whole reason why her husband was on death row is because she withheld the DNA evidence that proved that the her baby was actually Sheriff Stevens' baby.
Mm-hmm.
And so it made it seem like it was her husband's baby, and that really like made the whole case for the previous book.
Right.
So now to have to reopen and showing that, oh, wait a minute, he might have had motive, especially because the whole case was such a mess, makes them like, oh, snap.
Mm-hmm. And look at his life now. How trustworthy is this guy who was sheriff?
Yeah.
So Bob wants to talk to her, try to create a game plan. She wants no parts of it. I don't trust you anymore. You're not faithful.
I'll take care of this myself. I don't need you.
Right.
Meanwhile, Sheriff Hudson is like, we have quite a conundrum.
Well, he also didn't know. He found out at the same time as everybody else did. Right. So he found out there was a leak from the lab. He's got to get that straightened out because they immediately called the media and just
because they found out from TV too.
Right, right. And they're urging him to do a press conference.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'll do the press conference, but before I do, let me go talk to Ryan, who's still in custody, and go figure out just
his side of the story.
Right.
Because he also mentioned in that first book, it kind of made Deputy Hudson seem a little sus at that time.
Right.
Because he was showing up in places where he wasn't supposed to be. He was asking really weird questions.
Yep.
And so from the first book, I had a little suspicion that the deputy had something to do with it.
She did a really good job.
She did, like all these little webs.
Girl, I thought Anne was up in it too.
Like everybody was guilty. And then when you find, you're like, OMG. So now that you have all of this stuff unraveling, it's like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is interesting.
Right? So when he goes to the cell, he sees Ryan hanging.
Yeah, attempted.
Yeah.
Ending.
Yep. He attempted to unalive himself.
Right.
He cuts him down, starts giving him CPR, breaking ribs, all that stuff, yells for help. Police get there. They find out not police, paramedics get there. They start taking over CPR, rush him off to the hospital. Mm-hmm. Then he's also freaking out at that too, because in addition to all of that stuff, now we have to explain how he was capable of doing this.
Right.
No one was watching him, and how did he still have possession of his belt?
Right.
Okay. So he tells the deputy who was supposed to be watching him, you better hope he lives, because this isn't going to be good for you.
Along the same lines, Bob meets with his lawyer. Brad. Sorry. And he's basically like, hey, so, like, Brad's basically like, you need to just let this go. I'm not really sure why you're hanging on to this. Like, just, accept all the terms and move on. But Bob is not really okay with Sarah getting full custody. He doesn't think that's fair. There's no reason for that. But Sarah basically is like, you're going to be out of our lives, period, point blank. Like, dead to me, dead to her. And so then also with all of this stuff going on with the former Sheriff Stevens, he's like, so hypothetically, if I were to tell you, and Brad's like, what are you talking about? Like, what does this have to, like, what? Because he's very vague. He's not really saying like, hey, I have a friend, asking for a friend if this were to happen. But he's just like, look, let's just take care of this divorce and let's go from there. And he's like, yeah, but like, what if Sarah was unfit? Would that give me full custody? And he's like, I mean, yeah, but you'd have to have a lot of proof. He's like, well, let's just say that I do. Mm-hmm. He's like, well, what is it? He's like, well, I can't tell you right now, but just know there's a strong possibility I might have some proof.
So at that meeting too, because the lawyer brings up the fact, isn't that crazy about this Ryan Stevens thing? And Bob is worried because he was a suspect in the original case. So he then has to explain to his lawyer why. Well, Kelly Summers was actually Jenna Way, and his lawyer's like, oh, the one who killed your brother. Yeah, they suspected me. So I really don't need this getting any bigger than it already is now. And Sarah can be a little unhinged, so I'm just concerned about how this is going to impact me. This is horrible timing right now.
Right.
So he goes into that meeting essentially saying that he has an insurance policy if he needs it against Sarah, and kind of just leaves it at that. Right. Very vague, but very poignant as well. Mm-hmm.
And then somewhere along the line, Sheriff Hudson calls Bob in for questioning.
Mm-hmm.
So when he goes in, he's like, he just starts going on and on about the case.
Right.
And they're like, that's not why we called you here. He starts going over the case about
Adam.
Case. Yeah,
right.
He's like, and then the sheriff is basically like, yeah, why would you think that that's why we called you down here? And he's like, well, it's all over the news, right? And they're like, yeah, but we wanted to ask you about this woman.
Mm-hmm. So basically, while Bob is telling on himself, he's playing checkers, Sarah's playing chess, because immediately after the news broadcast breaks, when she goes to her office, to her foundation, she is riddled with reporters asking questions and this and that, and she played the doting ex-wife. I am furious that the police department didn't thoroughly investigate Adam's death. I always knew he was innocent. Blase, blase.
And the reporter's like, but how do you feel about his mother saying that she's going to sue you?
Right. And then she's like, oh,
she's bitch. Like, yeah, she's old.
She's old and senile, and bless her heart.
Yeah.
She's just in mourning still, and real condescending. Right. Real mad condescending with that. Yeah. Alejandro offers to be kind of like a bodyguard of sorts to protect her, and then she ends up offering him like a little side job. Because she finds out with his record, even with the foundation's help, he's still having a hard time getting a legitimate job because of his history. So she offers to help him out there.
Yeah. Come fix my deck.
Right. Right. He did a lot of fixing later. So after that, Sarah gets a phone call from Sheriff Hudson. And because remember, she was representing Ryan, right?
Right.
And he calls her and he's like, gotta let you know he's in critical condition. He attempted suicide, but he's still alive. Like, I don't care. I can't represent him anymore with everything going on. This out in the open now. She ends the call and she tells Anne, we need to reopen that Adams case. So she's doing everything she can to play the attorney who had a husband executed wrongfully. I'm going to take the police department down.
Right, because it would look weird if she didn't reopen the case.
Correct.
And then also, side note, Anne is now her office manager at the foundation.
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. So she's doing all the things that she needs to do to make this story align with the public image that she laid out. And Bob is just over here just saying stuff he doesn't really need to be saying.
Yeah. So basically, going back to the interrogation room, they're like, well, we want to know if you recognize this woman. Have you ever met or seen her before? And he's like, takes a second. And he's like, no. Who is that? But then I guess like she has on, the woman in the picture has on some kind of a necklace. And he's like, man, where do I know that from?
Right.
And then all the pieces start to come together. He's like, oh, that's the woman who I had an affair with, because he doesn't have a lot of recollection of this said affair. Mm-hmm. And up until this point, we don't really know how Sarah found out about it.
Right.
We just know, all we know is she knows, and that's all Bob needs to know.
Mm-hmm.
And he is not in a position to argue that he didn't do it.
And they did ask him, does Sarah know? He said, yes, she knows, and that's why she's filing for divorce.
Yeah, no, and then he just kind of starts talking about, like, it was a one-time thing. I don't really remember much about it, but it happened. And I don't know why it happened. I don't know how I did this, but apparently I did it. I didn't mean to do it, but this is why my life is falling apart.
Mm-hmm. And they brought him in for questioning for that because fresh off the press conference that Hudson gave after discovering. So he has to tell them, yes, the sheriff basically had to tell them everything.
Yeah.
And also, too, he has tried to commit suicide. We are reopening the entire case. He's just trying to say whatever he can. It was a very hostile environment. People had signs and were picketing and just,
Yeah.
you guys really dropped the ball with this all the way around.
Just makes the whole sheriff's department look very incompetent. How did you feel about Sheriff Hudson dating his deputy?
I thought that was a mad conflict of interest.
Same.
How does that happen in all work fields? I've
Deputy
worked retail
Olsen.
where that wasn't allowed. So how in law enforcement?
Yeah. Everything about that it didn't seem like it was a secret, but they weren't like blatant about it either.
Yeah, they weren't glued up at work or anything.
Correct.
But it was very clear they were dating.
Right.
Living
and it
together.
just, the whole thing seemed very unethical.
I can see if they worked at different precincts or if they were already married. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of scenarios where it would be fine, but that just seemed like he was always her superior and they just dated. Or maybe they were like, equals in dating and then he got promoted to sheriff. So then they just didn't. Still, it was weird.
Yeah.
It was weird.
I didn't like it.
It just seemed like a real big conflict of interest.
Yeah.
But after his press conference, she's the one that said, hey, we have a missing persons case. And we have proof that Bob Miller was the last person to see this woman. Mm-hmm. That's why they brought him in for questioning.
And then when he got in with like diarrhea of the mouth, now they're like, huh. So not only, like somehow you're connected to both of the mess that has been dropped off on our doorstep.
Yep.
Okay, interesting. And Sheriff Hudson never cared for Sarah and has always thought there was something sus going on about the whole situation. So he very much feels like, I don't know what it is, but something ain't right with her.
Yeah. Sarah's a badass and she's condescending. Like, she's a badass and she knows she's a badass, and she kind of had a reputation for talking down to people who she felt like were minions or whatever. So but he didn't like her for that reason, but then also everything was buttoned up. Yeah.
Didn't quite apply to her in the same way because of her ability to be such a great lawyer.
Yeah, her attitude didn't help people overlook things. Because I feel like Hudson was the type of person, same thing he did with Stevens. Mm-hmm. He's in a bad slump right now. Let me just give him a chance, But if you see holes in someone who is a complete jackass to you, yeah, you're not going to give them any leeway at all. So he always thought, he never liked her and thought something was off.
And didn't really understand why Sheriff Stevens was so accommodating to taking her to the crime scene, letting her walk through the house, doing all these like I don't want to say unethical, but like not
like compromising
typical ways of doing things. He didn't really understand it. But now with like this DNA, it's like, why is it that with you, all of these things just kind of seem to align just quite perfectly?
And of all people he could have called to represent him, he called you.
Yeah. So then I think we jump to the image of the captive.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, in the basement, who's kind of describing basically like the sounds that are happening around her. She's still in the dank basement, still tied up. Nobody said anything to her while she's being tied up. She hears footsteps above, which is how we know that she's in a basement. She still can't see. But basically it's like all she knows is that she wakes up and there's food in front of her. Next thing you know, she's knocked out again and there's food in front of her again. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much where like she hasn't seen anybody, heard anything other than footsteps and food.
She just feels in a constant daze. Mm-hmm. There's someone just throwing like subs down from the stairs, like fetch, go get it. And she's very hesitant to eat the food. She's smelling the water before she drinks it, but it's also all she has. So she's eating the food and feeling
it's becoming like the main focus of like her time.
Right.
Is smelling it, tasting it, describing what she's eating and drinking and all that.
She's in total darkness. She has no recollection of how long she's been in this place, whether it's day, night, time passing, none of that.
Or why she's being held down there.
But it did disclose that she has multiple enemies that could be trying to do this to her.
Mm-hmm.
She could think of several people who would want her in the situation that she's in.
So she's Stacy. She also has a habit of basically blackmailing, like, politicians or something. I don't know.
She tried
People
to
in like
blackmail
high,
congressmen.
yeah, congressmen. So that's why she's kind of like, this could be literally anyone for a lot of the same reasons of basically trapping people into being photographed with her and then blackmailing them and to getting money.
Yep.
And she's basically a dirtbag.
She is. And she blackmailed
and
Bob.
heels. Yep.
And by this point, the police have found her SUV. They found blood inside of her SUV. And conveniently, a business card from Bob.
Yep.
So.
And a phone. I don't know where they found the phone, but like basically it had messages that she was sending to her friend, basically saying the night that she went missing. And this is all disclosed to Bob in the interrogation room. Of, well, you were the last one to see her alive. And he's like, what are you talking about? I don't even know. This happened weeks ago. What are you talking about? And they're like, well, we have text messages, basically her telling her friend, hey, I'm going out with this guy. What did she say?
Said like I'm going out with a lawyer. I think it specifically said.
Yeah, and like says his name and this is where we're going. And that was the last time that anybody ever heard of her or heard from her. And then they have messages from him to her. And that was kind of like the plot twist because he's making it seem like this is a one-time thing. And in the text messages, it seems like they're having a relationship.
At this point, they go to a swim meet. Well, Sarah's at a swim meet.
For their daughter.
For their daughter. So Summer's out in the lanes doing her thing. And Bob is fresh out of the interrogation room, basically knowing he's a prime suspect because they made a comment to him, don't go anywhere. He's a lawyer. He already knows what time it is. I'm prime suspect. That scene was funny.
Paranoid.
He's freaking out and paranoid. He is irate and they are in public. So he's trying to go in, but he can't really go in the way he wants to, even though he still did go in a little bit.
Because he feels like she has something to do with this and he's going to get to the bottom of it and like she's going to pay.
It said he doesn't want to be atomed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he gets there and sits next to her and says, where is she? She's like, what are you talking about? He's like, Stacy Howard, what did you do with her? I know you have something to do with this. And Sarah was just being Sarah, like, sounds like you've got a guilty conscience. What you have going on?
Like, I should be asking you where she is. If anybody knows where she is, it would be you.
Right. So she totally blows him off. He leaves mad. And as you mentioned before, he is on the board of her foundation. And then they were having a meeting shortly after that Anne was facilitating. And they were trying to decide something about feminine hygiene products. Like, whatever this was, it should have been an easy yes.
Correct.
For everyone in the room. He's still reeling from everything that's going on. He's freaking out.
Fantasizing about, like, bashing her head in on the table.
Yeah, like stabbing her with a pen and just all this crazy stuff. And he votes against her.
Right, because he didn't really pay attention to what they were voting on. He just knew that she voted yes, because they were like, Bob, how do you vote? And then he sees that she voted yes, so he's like, no. Yeah. And so basically him voting no for this thing makes him look like an uber dick. Right. Because there was no reason to vote no.
Dunk. Yeah, easy yes.
Yeah, so like every turn, even though you don't really know how Sarah has something to do with it, if she even has something to do with it, but like his paranoia is making him look very, very guilty because he's just totally out of character, like looking disheveled. At some point in time, the head partner of the firm calls him in and is like, what are you doing? Like, you come and go as you please? Like, this is your firm?
Yeah, he's been pushing all his very important clients off on the junior candidates, and they are wanting senior partner time.
Right.
He's brushing them off. Girl, that twist, hilarious.
Yeah. Because that was very much like what happened to her in book 1.
We find out that this man is the one who told Sarah about his affair.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because he's like, well, what do you expect? She's like a daughter to me. And he's like, I expect for you to keep your mouth shut.
Because this dude cheats on his wife left and
all
right,
the
too.
time.
Hmm.
He's like, that has nothing to do with anything. She's like a daughter to me. And
Right.
she was a better lawyer than you'll ever be.
Hmm.
And it was a loss when she left.
We
Like,
still
and
up for you.
yeah, we just got stuck with you. Second best. Yeah, that was a big slap in the face.
That was a huge slap in the face.
Like,
to
he
him.
left there like,
Well, he tried to buck up. I think he ended up getting like suspended for 6 weeks or something,
yeah.
and he walked out still talking trash. Oh, 12 weeks. Like, I think he just kept, like, like a petulant teenager, just says stuff and the parent just keeps.
Because I think his niece or somebody is like his secretary.
I think
And
so.
then he like is like, you.
Yeah.
Like selling her out
Right.
along the way. And
Yeah.
she's like, she's like a Nepo hire.
He was trying to save face, basically, in any way that he
Yeah.
could. But yeah, that scene was funny.
Yeah, hilarious. So that's how we found out that Sarah found out about the fair, allegedly.
Right.
Because with Sarah, boy, talk about an onion. Like, it just there is no surprises.
So many layers.
I mean, there are many surprises.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
So at that meeting, too, Bob finds out that this chick, Stacy Howard, was on the foundation payroll. He didn't know that ahead of time. So for him, that solidifies Sarah set me up some kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
She orchestrated this whole thing. He's already reeling, and this makes him spiral.
Right.
And he tells his lawyer, this game on.
Right. But to everybody else, it makes it seem like this is how he met her and this is how they started their affair.
Correct.
So it varies, like, even in his situation, it's not even looking like a coincidence. It just looks like everything is very much aligned. But also, Sheriff Hudson is very suspicious about how easily everything is lining up. And he's getting very similar feelings that he had when the whole Adam thing was happening.
Yep. So by this time, he's gotten questioned and has gotten re-questioned.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah has filed her motion to reopen the case, and Sheriff Hudson has already filed his own thing to have the case reopened. But the thing is, it's been over a decade. People either have the same stories or they can't recount anything.
Right, because it's so long ago.
He's asking for receipts, for alibis. I don't know where I was on this night 10 years ago. I can't remember where I was a year ago. So it's just, they aren't getting anywhere with the investigation reopening.
It's
at that
totally
point,
useless.
basically.
But they still have to go through the motions.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So then in the meantime, Sarah has hired Alejandro to do some work around her house. So there's a deck that Bob was supposed to have built and completed, and it was like all these incomplete projects that Bob had. She now has Alejandro coming over to her house, felon, former felon, to do all this stuff. So then Bob's like, well, no, before Bob even finds out, they have a little bit of a moment. So Sarah gets a splinter in her finger, and then somewhere along the line, her and Alejandro lock a little bit of lip.
Well, I think Bob saw them before that happened, right? Because wasn't he coming to get Summer for a weekend or something?
And saw him working around the house. Yeah.
What's this guy doing here around our daughter? So that's what we're doing now?
Yeah.
So
we're bringing felons.
Somebody had to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I hired him. Because mind you, he did have all these little half projects, but when he was buying his flowers and doing his apologies, oh, I'll finish that deck now. Oh, I'll trying to make
she's like, don't worry about it. I got somebody to come look at it.
Yep.
But for her, like, it was very, isn't this the pot calling the kettle black a little bit? Because she's like, so you're okay with recommending him for the project, for this reform program, but now that I have him coming over here and earning an honest dollar, now all of a sudden it's, what is this convict doing in our house around our daughter? So either he is or he isn't. And so it was very, like, that was the moment that you saw why Sarah was very particular about, like, oh, okay, so you want to recommend him? Clearly there's something more going on. Because you've never recommended anybody at all. You don't ever care. You basically were just like my second vote. And he would always vote. Anything she voted yes on, he voted yes on. Anything she voted no on, he would vote no on. So for him to vote no for something she voted yes was like the first time that he went against her, but for something that made him look like an ass.
Right.
But then now this person who you pushed to get in the program showing up at your house is like, huh.
Mm-hmm.
So she already knew something was afoot, and I love how she's able to predict people's moves. I love that so much about
Yo,
her.
she's diabolical in that
Yeah,
way.
she is. And then I think that's where we also learn a little bit of her own backstory too, right?
Yeah, like they have a moment, like you said, and she brings him food or something while he's
Mm-hmm.
out there sweating and thirsty, and
Mm-hmm.
here's a
Looking
sandwich,
like a snack.
here's some sweet tea for you.
Mm-hmm.
And they basically talk about histories. Like she asks him, is jail really as bad as everyone says it is? And she talks about her history, and they kind of
Like her
connect in that
childhood
way.
with her mom
Hmm.
was like an addict, and she had a really terrible upbringing, and her mom had questionable boyfriends, so she had to do a lot very early on
Hmm.
that a child really shouldn't have to do or be exposed to. Losing her home, living in motels, roach motels. Like Sarah isn't like coming from money. Sarah literally came from the gutter and worked her way to where she was. So for her, it's she understands what it means to lose. Like that losing everything is not an option.
Right.
Because I know what it means to be on the bottom.
That was really a testament to her. It humanized her in a way
Yeah, very
because you
much.
never would have assumed that a person of her stature, how professional she was, how
Mm-hmm.
successful she was, grew up like that.
Right.
Literally, no good example. She built herself from the ground up. And I had always thought prior to that she started doing this pro bono work because she looked so bad publicly with the whole Adam situation, even though she represented him, and like there was always talk that she had something to do with it.
Right.
And now creating this foundation was kind of a way to her to make
Give back.
herself look
Yeah.
better in the public. But
Mm-hmm.
then you find out how her mom was and things like that, and how she had to rebuild herself. Well, basically start from nothing. I'm going to help other people who are starting from nothing.
Right. Yeah. And I wasn't able to help my husband. It was like a twofer though.
Right.
You know, it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't just with like pure intent. There
No,
was a little,
she had ulterior
yeah,
motives,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it kind of explained why she chose that way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Later on that night, Sheriff Hudson
Mm-hmm.
gets a phone call in the middle of the night and finds out that Ryan Stevens is dead at the hospital.
But not just any old dead.
Not any old dead. So him and his girl Pam, they get up out of bed together, go to the hospital, and they see that he's been murdered. He has had his throat slit from ear to ear, and there's a lot of blood. It's blocked off. It's a bad, vicious murder scene.
Yeah.
And they just want to make sure that there was no possible way he did this himself. They look under the sheets, they try to find a weapon. He has nothing. And someone comes and tells them there's no possible way he could have done this himself. It's
Right.
impossible for a person who is already, he didn't do this. This was done to him. So this is now an act of homicide, which makes three total cases that Hudson is handling now in the last couple of weeks. So he has Ryan's murder case now. He reopened the Kelly Summers investigation, and he's still researching the Stacy Hudson disappearance.
Right.
So he's got a lot going on right now.
Yep.
He's tired,
Yeah.
stressed,
He's super stressed.
frazzled. It's a lot for the police department to be going through.
Right. And then they also mentioned that they're short staffed and all of this stuff. So, and then in the meantime, you know, Bob's got all his stuff going on. He's still going back and forth with his lawyer. And then he goes to get a haircut from his regular stylist. Her name is Carissa. And then he notes that she's acting super sketchy.
Yeah.
Like she's forgetting to do things that she usually does. Her hands are shaking. She keeps looking towards the door. He's asking her if everything is okay. She's saying yes. And then as she's shaving him, she ends up nicking him. So he kind of like snaps on her a little bit, but just from being startled from having been cut with the razor, and she's apologizing profusely. He's been seeing her for years, so he has no reason to like, this is very out of character for her.
He knows her demeanor. She was super antsy.
Right. So, you know, he's like, it's okay, like, don't worry about it. And so, um, I think he has like a towel or something. Like, she got him pretty good. Like, it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't just like a little tiny nick. Like, he had a little, like, a decent amount of blood.
Mm-hmm.
So then he leaves after the cut, and then I think the next day or something like that.
Very soon after.
Then soon after that, then Sheriff Hudson is like, here we are again. You know, like, do you know this woman? He's like, yeah, that's my hairstylist. He's like, well, you know, we got a call that there was a disturbance, and we went to her place, and basically things were turned over. There was blood everywhere. We found some of your blood there. And can you tell us about it? And he's like, what? When I left, she was fine. But here's the thing, like, this is when I think it's really strange when people start leaving out things that are really important
Mm-hmm.
that could hurt them later. I don't know why they do that, because he basically doesn't tell them that she was acting really strange.
Right.
He's like, no, she was fine when I left. And they were like, really?
Yeah, the salon was totally ransacked and
Yeah.
blood, and it looks like something really bad. That was a lot of blood loss that we saw
Yeah.
there.
He's like, no, there was none of that when I was there. And he was like, so she, but I don't even think at the time he mentioned her nicking him. Like, I think it was just like everything was fine. There was nothing out of the ordinary. So he just is leaving out things. And as a lawyer, I just thought that was really strange. I'm like, why are you not telling them that, you know? But he's like, not really thinking with a clear head. He's just thinking, this is all Sarah. Like, she's setting me up. So he's not even focusing on the questions that they're asking him, which are really tripping him up and making him look like he's giving inconsistent answers.
It's like, that's why Sarah ain't partner over you. You're showing it right now.
Yeah, exactly. So basically now they are also suspecting that he had something to do with the disappearance of Carissa as well.
Yeah, all signs are pointing to Bob.
Yes. And he is like, now he's at that, okay, like, you're no longer playing, like, we're not playing games, we're playing with my life,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm about to take you down.
Right.
So,
Or so he thinks.
yeah.
All right, so lest you forgot that there is a captive in the basement.
Right. Who we know is Stacy.
Cuts back to Stacy, and she has company now.
Mm-hmm.
There's another woman down there.
Plot twist.
Plot twist. And she's describing to this woman her experience.
Mm-hmm.
They throw food down here. Whenever, eat the food. You're probably going to feel a little woozy. And they exchange names.
The new woman is suspecting that they're being drugged.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Which Stacy has not. For however long she's been down there doing the same routine, she just keeps waking up. There's food there. She eats it. She falls asleep and repeat.
Damn, maybe I am being drugged.
Yeah, like, oh gosh, maybe that's how it's happening.
Maybe that's why I'm so tired all the time. So they do their introductions, and we find out that the woman's name is Carissa.
Right. And so they're like, well, how do you know who's holding us here? You know, like, trying to find out how they are connected through whoever their captive is to have them in the basement. And so they kind of start recapping their last couple of days before they ended up in the basement. And the hairdresser, Carissa, ends up mentioning, well, I had a client, you know, I think she said his name, I don't remember, or she said he was a lawyer or something like that. And somehow it comes up that they both are connected through Bob.
Yep.
And so now they're both thinking that Bob is the person who is responsible for holding them there.
And we're goners.
Yeah, because I think Stacy does admit that she was
she blackmailed him.
Yeah.
And he was pissed about it.
Extorting him. Yep. Sorry, that was the word that was on the tip of my tongue. But yeah, she's blackmailing him, and then Carissa basically, which wasn't the reaction I was thinking was coming, but Carissa basically tells her that she's a horrible piece of shit. And she deserves to be down here, but not. She's like, but not me, because I didn't do something wrong. Yeah, you deserve it. Yeah. So in the meantime, they find out. Obviously, they know that Carissa is missing. They think that Bob has something to do with it, And then they're talking to Aunt or Sarah about all of this stuff, and she's like, well, Carissa has a abusive ex named George. So if you look into anybody, you really need to look into him because he just got up for parole like, I don't know, barely a month ago.
Right.
And he's been calling her and texting her and stuff like that. So that's probably the person you need to look at.
Yeah.
And so then they're also questioning Anne. And then Sheriff Hudson mentions to Anne that Sheriff Stevens was, and he later makes a mental note of her lack of, Sarah's lack of surprise. I keep wanting to call her Anne.
She also didn't ask how it happened or
right.
anything.
And that she was just very, like, matter of fact. So he did make a mental note of, like, that's very interesting. Because most people would be like, OMG, how, why, when, who, what, where. And she wasn't giving any of that. But she also is very coiffed. Like, not coiffed. Like, that's hair. Yeah. But like she just everything is in its place. She doesn't do the whole emotional thing and never has. So it's like not out of character, but still out of character for just anybody.
She's very cold in general.
Yeah. It has a definite shield up. So then we are now where Bob is talking to his lawyer, Brad, and he basically tells him the whole thing.
We find out what his insurance policy is.
Yeah. Basically, he tells Brad that Sarah killed Kelly and that she gave him the knife to get rid of, but he had a strong suspicion that something like what is currently happening could happen. So he kept the knife as an insurance policy and that he needs to basically anonymously drop this thing off at the police station with a little note saying Sarah did this. His lawyer is like, this all sounds a little crazy. Like, are you sure? Sarah, of all people? And he's like, yes, this bitch is crazy. Like, trust me when I tell you, you don't want to be on the receiving end of this shit.
She's ruining my life.
Like, she is Satan incarnate. So, basically that ends that. Because, oh yeah, Sarah also took out a restraining order out on him because she just has this way of lining everything up that people will make themselves look guilty, and that's pretty much what she's done to Bob.
Remember when he yelled at her, he went in on her in the swing thing, like, I fear for my
witnesses. So yep. And then Sheriff Hudson is trying to figure out who killed Sheriff Stevens. It's so many names.
It is. Yeah. Former Sheriff Stevens at the hospital. Yes. He's investigating that murder too.
Right. So then on the video camera, he notices a very distinct mark on the hand or something about the hand that makes him realize, like, oh, I know who this is. Because up until that point, they were kind of thinking maybe it was somebody at the hospital because it was a very clean cut.
Right.
So they were suspecting that somebody used like a scalpel or something that was at the hospital. It was like basically what do they call it? A weapon of not convenience, but there's like, something that was already there.
Right.
They didn't bring this thing in with them.
We find out as he's looking at the camera, he sees a scar on the hand, like you said.
Okay.
Finds out that it is Scott Summers, who we hadn't really heard a whole lot about up until this point. And Scott Summers was the wife, the husband of Kelly Summers, who was murdered.
Right.
Left town.
Yeah, just disappeared in book one.
Investigation just dipped out.
Right.
After his wife got murdered. And now he's apparently seeing the news footage.
Surprise,
he's seeing all this stuff and he resurrected. So then
probably because he found out that former Sheriff Stevens had knocked up his wifey poo.
Yep.
Who he legitimately loved and helped skip out. Like, he basically conveniently, to go back to book one, conveniently lost evidence that allowed her to get away with murdering Bob's brother.
Yep.
Allegedly.
Yeah. So now we know who killed Stevens.
Yes.
But where's Scott now?
No one knows. So then, in the meantime, what do we have? We have Alejandro, who is Sarah's basically playing like damsel when it comes to Alejandro. So he's kind of helped her around the house. They've kissed a little bit of flirting, saved her from some like reporter situations in the very beginning. They've confided in each other's like their past history a little bit. And then along the lines, we also kind of find out that Sarah's mom didn't just die. Sarah kind of helped her.
Sarah's ill.
On her journey to meet the Lord.
Yeah.
But Sarah also, it's like, it's hard to not empathize with Sarah to a degree because her mom really put her through the ringer and was putting her in unsafe situations with like dealers and random boyfriends, and she kind of was like, okay, I'm enough is enough, and you will do us all a favor to die.
Yeah, she basically felt like as long as you're here, I have to continue dealing with this. Right. So the way I get myself out of it is to get rid of you.
Because it's inevitable. It's going to happen anyway. Like one of these days, I'm going to come back to this roach-infested hotel or motel, and I'm going to find you dead. So I might as well just go ahead and speed this process along. Yeah. And that's kind of what you find out about her. Which again is like, no, it's not okay. But now we're not talking about Sarah being a grown woman. We're talking about this is happening to Sarah as a high schooler, maybe?
Yeah, like a young teenager.
Because she wasn't even like in college. I think she was still trying to get into high school or going through high school when all of this was happening, like middle school, high school. So, having, 5+ years of this life, she had enough.
Sarah had a long history of
yeah,
taking care of people and doing it in such a way to where nothing pointed at her.
And all of the people who she helped, like her first husband,
Adam.
All of these people that she's taking care of are also ungrateful.
Yes.
So that was also like a big trope in this book of, I did all of this sacrificing for you. I did all of this for you, and this is the thanks you give me.
Yeah, you did me wrong.
Yeah. So now I'm going to take it all away.
all of it.
So amid all of the issues with Bob, like him crashing out, the protective order that Sarah took out on him, Sarah arranges for Summer to go stay with Aunt Anne. To just like, hey, let me just figure some of this stuff out. I don't want her to have anything to do with any of this stuff. But I feel like we might have missed the part where they did tell her about that they were getting a divorce, and then Summer blames Sarah for this whole situation happening, like for them getting a divorce. I don't think she goes into detail of like why, like that he cheated on her.
Yeah.
But she does end up blaming Sarah for it, and that catches Sarah off guard.
Yeah, she ran out of the room like, I hate you, Lou. Like, basically,
you're the worst.
She reacted in the worst possible way that a parent would hope.
But appropriate for like a middle schooler.
Right.
I think she's in middle school, elementary school.
She's 10 or 11. She's not that much.
Yeah, somewhere in there, tweenish. Then in the meantime, Sheriff Hudson receives a package anonymously with a bloodied knife and a note saying, like, you should test this. I think you'll find fingerprints that belong to Sarah Morgan and blood that belongs to Kelly Summers. So he's like, say less. Christmas has come early, boys.
Right.
So then that gets sent off to the lab for testing. And then we have Bob meets with Alejandro.
In a hotel room.
Yeah.
Super sketchy.
So we're like, why?
They discuss a failed job.
Yeah.
From years ago.
Right. As he's trying to hire him to basically murder his wife.
Yeah.
And so Alejandro's like, well, you're going to have to pay me half up front. And Bob's like, I don't think so. because you didn't complete the job that you were supposed to do 14 years ago.
So these two have a very sordid history that we can see.
Uh-huh.
And now we know why Bob was going so hard for Alejandro. And now we really know why he didn't want this dude in his house around his daughter.
Yeah. Crazy.
Dun, dun, dun.
Plot twist. So they're basically negotiating what he's supposed to do, that he's supposed to finish the job, because at this point we don't quite know what the failed job was.
Right.
But whatever he hired him to do, he didn't do a good job. But this time he's like, you have to send me proof of this situation. I'm gonna go work on my alibi, because this can't be because of me.
Mm-hmm.
Because with all this stuff going on, if it's me,
like, I'm already hot enough as it is.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna go somewhere, I'm gonna make sure that I'm seen and that people remember me.
Mm-hmm.
And so he basically goes off to do that.
So after Bob and Alejandro's interaction at the hotel, cuts back to the basement.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Where Stacy, right?
Stacy. Mm-hmm.
Stacy and Carissa. So Stacy wakes up and she hears Carissa screaming and yelling. There's a scuffle going on.
Mm-hmm.
And Carissa is calling for Stacy, asking her for help. And she can't see anything. She's chained up. And all she hears is just
screaming,
some kind of
noise,
altercation,
banging, crashing.
Yeah. And then Carissa is being dragged up the stairs, door slams, and then she just hears like feet dragging and kicking, furniture being knocked over, and Carissa's just crying for Stacy to help her, and she's trying everything she can, and she can't, and she's feeling awful. And then like a loud crash, and then quiet.
Yep.
And so then Stacy's just like losing it, because now she's feeling like, oh shit.
Yeah, shit just got real.
Yeah.
And I'm next.
Yep. And so then at the same time, Sarah had invited.
Stacy feels around, and she feels and she sees that there's a revolver in there.
Right.
With 2 bullets.
Because she's like trying to figure out, like, oh no, she ended up, how did she?
She's still chained. Like, she's in the same spot that she has been in the whole time. She's like wigging out, can't do anything.
Right.
Let me try to see what I could use to defend myself if someone came. She realized there's a revolver there. Where did that come from?
Right. You're right.
Yep.
I forgot about that. Little Easter egg.
Go on, continue, child.
And then Sarah had invited Alejandro over for dinner. And
to her house, since her daughter's gone.
Right.
She ain't waste no time, boy.
She did not. And then they're like flirting and talking and all of that. And so they end up knocking boots.
Yep.
And in the meantime, Bob is at like a bar somewhere.
He's at a hotel bar trying his best to create an alibi.
Correct. And then he starts getting pictures. He got a confirmation picture and text from Alejandro telling him that the job was done. But at the same time, like, his wife, who is deceased in the photos, is got no clothes on, and she's in the bed. And he's like, you banged my wife?
I didn't know that was part of the deal.
He was like, look, I had to do what I had to do. What do you care?
Job is done.
Yeah, right. You're welcome. But on the back end, as they were kind of like, after they were done doing the deed, Alejandro's like, I'm really sorry that I have to do this. And Sarah's like, me too.
Very Harlem Nights scene going on right there.
Twinsies!
Yep.
So they both basically, like, Sarah had already peeped game.
They have each other at gunpoint.
Yeah. And so then Sarah has Alejandro tell her everything. So you find out at that time that Alejandro, 14 years ago, was supposed to kill Kelly Summers, Bob's brother's wife. And instead of killing her, he ended up basically accidentally killing his brother instead.
Oops. accidentally stabbed him to death.
Yes. So, and I forget the reason.
So Bob was into some illegal activity,
Mm-hmm.
and well, Jenna, as her name was at the time, Kelly's former name before she did her little switcheroo,
Right.
she knew about it, and Bob needed that to not be a thing anymore.
Go away, yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she ended up coming home, finding her husband deceased, and basically Bob took the opportunity to basically frame her for the murder. Or no.
Alejandro framed her because he was the one who killed the brother.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Sorry. And so it just kind of was like a win-win, but obviously nobody was expecting that police officer, her next husband,
Scott,
would basically get her off, which foiled Bob's plan and just created this whole snowball effect.
Right. Well, he had no idea that what happened with his brother, that Alejandro killed his brother. He had no idea. He really thought that Kelly had killed his brother. And no.
Yeah.
Your boy that you hired to kill her did it.
So messy.
Yep.
Totally messy. So, Sarah ends up basically making Alejandro an offer that he couldn't refuse. Terrible. I couldn't help myself.
I could tell. Like, I'm gonna let her have it.
But yeah, she makes him an offer that he couldn't refuse. So, he basically is like, "Fine, I won't kill you."
She's like, "I'll pay you the same amount that he's paying you. How much is he paying you?" And he tells her like $250,000. She's like, "Done. I'll pay you $250,000.
Yeah.
But you got to do this for me. I'm gonna stage my little death photos. I need you to send him proof." Mm-hmm. And then he also tells her, "By the way, he's been tracking your car. He's been doing it for weeks." She's like, "Oh, I already know. Thank you for that. But I know."
Yeah. Tell me something I don't know.
Right. And she has all these different company vehicles that she would use. But cut back to Bob, who's at the bar, being extra, trying to create an alibi. He's having
drink after drink after drink
feelings because he did want Sarah dead, but at the same time, damn, she's dead.
He did care about her.
Wow, how do we end up here? This is crazy. Right. He ends up pulling up the GPS tracking app and sees, this is strange. What is this remote location that she went to? She's never done that before.
Yeah.
And instead of staying his ass at the bar to finish out his alibi,
talking to the bartender.
What did he call it? Like the probable cause of death window, whatever window they have of time. He wanted to make sure he had a solid alibi for the whole time. So there was no question. He ends up leaving and going to this remote place to check it out. Where did she go?
Right. Goes into this like abandoned house that in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
And walks down the stairs and gets shot.
Mm-hmm.
Dead.
By a very terrified Stacy.
Chained up in the basement.
Knew that this dude just murdered Carissa.
Yeah.
And was coming to get her next.
And when she heard the footsteps coming down the stairs, she aimed, shot, fired.
Mm-hmm.
And killed Bob.
And then Bob was no more.
Her captor, allegedly.
Right. And apparently Bob was being followed because very soon after, Hudson gets a call saying, "Hey, Bob Miller just left a bar and came to this abandoned house, went inside, and we heard 2 gunshots." Then SWAT comes and all this thing. Hudson immediately goes in, finds him laying there, finds Stacy, and is just, what in the world?
Yeah.
Carissa's blood is all over the house. Stacy tells him, he murdered Carissa. I had to kill him. He was going to do the same thing to me, too.
Mm-hmm.
Girl.
So then they get subpoena. They go through all of his stuff and find a hidden knife.
The murder weapon.
With Kelly Summers' blood on it.
And his fingerprints.
And his fingerprints.
That bitch, Sarah, when I tell you.
Chef's kiss.
She don't lose.
No, she doesn't.
And the kicker to all of this, 1 year later, She's doing an interview with 60 Minutes. Do you know they awarded her $32 million
And
for
wrongful
wrongful
death.
death suit
Yeah.
for Adam, who she framed
Yeah.
who she framed for killing his mistress that she actually killed.
Yeah. The whole thing is just one big giant
It's
mess.
it's a mind f. It really is,
Yeah.
girl.
It was so awesome. But the thing that worries me is now she has two loose ends. Because what we didn't mention is that Carissa actually did know who Sarah was because they had helped her get two protective orders in the past against her abusive ex George. So when she found out that he was going to be out on parole, she went to Sarah and was like, I'm freaking out because I know he's going to come for me. And Sarah's like, I can help you, but you have to do exactly what I say. No questions asked. So on the low, the whole scene at the salon and everything, the blood, all of that stuff, it was all staged. So she basically had Carissa give her some, like, tap herself,
Like
get some
multiple pints
blood.
of blood.
Yeah. And was like, you can't ask questions. You're going to have to do what I say. She's off in the wind with a new identity and just like poof, gone. So now she's got Carissa out here who supposedly is dead but is actually alive with a new identity.
Oh, because besties, guess who Carissa was down in the basement?
Oh, yeah. God, how did I even forget that?
This bitch, Sarah,
We're so out of order.
was putting on boots,
Yeah.
stomping around upstairs, making a whole to-do. She was Carissa.
She was pretending. Carissa's already in the wind with her new identity.
Gone, not to be.
Yeah. So the whole struggle, the whole blood, everything was staged. Like everything, the gun left on the ground was deliberately left there. Her car, everything was just orchestrated chef's kiss.
Naming Bob, commiserating with each other. That was Sarah down there with her in the dark the whole time.
Yeah.
This woman who has her own foundation, has a daughter, going through a divorce, doing television interviews, had the time.
Yep.
To
Going to
go down
swim
there.
meets.
Just
yeah.
chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Jeneva Rose, you did your thing.
Yeah, she did. She put her foot in it.
There's a third one coming out.
Yeah.
I'm
There
not
has
sure
to,
when.
because she's got loose ends now. She's
Yeah,
got
she's got-
Alejandro and she has Carissa, the real Carissa, floating out there, which I don't know. But the thing I love about her books is that, which now we know with book 2, there was so much information from book 1 that played a key role in book 2 and vice versa.
You have to read this in order. This is not.
No.
These are not standalones.
No.
You could appreciate it by itself, but you must.
Yeah.
You're gonna be missing a lot.
Yeah. There's no way you could read book 2 and not read book 1.
Yeah.
So good.
So good. And I wouldn't call her a loose end because she's. But Adam's mom, when she was awarded that money, and it was obviously determined that he had nothing to do with it, he was exonerated posthumously. She had already passed away.
Yeah.
Sarah
Coincidence?
I don't know.
We'll find out in book 3.
We shall see. Good stuff, man.
Yeah, that was
so good. What would you rank this on a scale of 1 to 5?
I think I would say 5.
I would too.
I really loved it. I thought it was good.
She tied up everything.
Yeah.
This book was written in so much detail. I wonder how many times she reread it. Did you give it to friends? Did you give it to
anybody who could find? But this just does not quite make sense because everything is plausible, which makes it so freaking good. Because the things that happen, it's like how, and I remember her making mention of like how predictable people's behaviors are.
Mm-hmm.
And it just got me thinking like, low-key, yeah. Like, people really are on autopilot a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. So it could make it very easy for somebody just like, if you pay enough attention. Mm-hmm. But yeah. Chef's kiss.
It was great. I also give it a 5.
Yeah.
I recommend it to anybody. Such a good thrill. Like it's thrilling, psychological, all the things.
Yeah.
So good. And with all the twists and turns that we mentioned, there's still a lot of stuff in there that we didn't even mention. This,
a ton.
like we didn't even scrape the surface. This is just bare bones. This
yeah,
is
we
what
just
the
got you
book is
through it,
about. Yeah.
but you need to check out the book.
Seriously.
Yeah.
So good.
And I also enjoyed like I don't really want to call it spice, but like the little toe into like her and Alejandro. It was like, alright, I see you. I enjoyed it, yeah. But I enjoyed it a lot. It was a good read.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, solid. She knocked them out of the park.
Yeah,
twice in a row.
So third one is probably good. Like the way she writes these books, it's almost like she's written them all already.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to imagine that you just wrote the first book and then didn't even think like, maybe I will, maybe I won't write the second book. It's almost like you wrote this really long intertwined story and then like cut it up. Like the breaks in between being like an intermission.
It feels like when you first knew Sarah and Bob were gonna get married, that he's gonna do the same thing to her. And how is she gonna get back at him? Now I'm curious about, oh, well, there's Alejandro now. So what are y'all gonna have going on?
Yeah.
Because both of y'all
Alejandro's gonna have to get it. Alejandro cannot be out here. He's a dirtbag.
He is a dirtbag.
Like he's a messy, unreliable, unloyal loose end.
He's grimy.
Yeah. He's gotta go.
Will he be the one to take Sarah out, though? We shall see.
Ain't no way.
She can't miss.
There's no way he's gonna outsmart
and like
her.
Even though she's done all this horrible stuff, I want her to win just for the sake of heroine, if you will.
Yeah.
Just being in so much power
being a girl's
and just outsmarting everyone.
So my forecast for this next book.
All right.
I don't know. I haven't thought of like details, but I know something with Alejandro and Carissa for sure. I low-key feel like Anne is a bigger orchestrator in this whole game.
I can see that.
Because I really felt like she had something to do with all that stuff in book 1. And for her to be so MIA in book 2, I feel like she's going to play a major role in book 3. And I don't know why, but I feel like her and Anne got a little something going on. I don't know why.
Why? Because Anne's so loyal? Like, just
from book 1, yeah, she was just totally obsessed with her. But then in book 2, all of a sudden she turned into like this office managing independent G. Like you went from like copying her, dressing like her, having your hair just like her, and then in book 2, now you just like your Aunt Anne and you just hone down things. Nah, there's something, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I feel like
she's gonna play a major role in book 3.
I could see that. I could also see Carissa slipping up somehow and making it known that she is who she is,
or
and
being
then
seen.
Sarah and Alejandro like teaming together to handle that. I could also see Summer finding out what Sarah did and how everything happened to her dad and that he wasn't who everybody said, and her possibly trying to pull a Sarah on Sarah. Maybe
that'd have
not.
to be a major time jump, because right now she's like elementary, middle school.
Well, she's like 10 or 11 now, but Sarah was like a teenager when that all went down with her mom.
Yeah.
So I mean, I could see, not to that extent. I mean, Sarah isn't a junkie; it wouldn't be the same thing. But maybe, I don't know.
Or she starts exhibiting very Sarah-like qualities.
Yep.
Becoming a mini.
I could see that happening too.
Or maybe Aunt Anne is like, hey, I've been playing mom to her in the background, doing this, doing that, and decides that Sarah's not worthy of being a mom.
Yeah, because she's been out gallivanting with Alejandro. Yeah, I feel like there's so many different things.
It's going to be so good.
Highly anticipated.
Yeah, for sure. All right, besties. Well, stay tuned. Keep an eye out for this.
We'll keep you updated.
Yeah, like as soon as it happens, we're definitely going to be all sharing all the details on the third book. But let us know down below if you have any book recs, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.